Welcome to another Zinja Pirate practice. Rico Suave says hello. Is that right, bud? Meow. Hopefully the mic won't cut out as much because I'm wearing this sweet little hip sack that Kimberly Bucky made. And so my receiver's on the front. The webcam didn't want to work, but I'm overcoming obstacles, as I should. I have the means. Using my computer's camera. For today's practice, you may want to get a couple of blocks or books or even soup cans just to get some height in some places. And you can use a staff, like a contact staff, or a towel, or a yoga strap, or a tie for some of the stretches that we're doing. And then if, like me, you like two-handed props, having a set around for when we're holding bases with our legs that are good for getting some mobility in our joints, it's always a good idea. So we're going to start today standing at the front of our mat. We're going to take a moment to become grounded in our feet, rocking a little bit back into our heels and then forward into the balls of our feet. Back and forward, and then settle in the place that you think is the middle of those 2 points. Our feet are about hip distance apart, so 1 to 2 of your fists would fit between them. And then we're going to rock a little to the left and to the right, feeling the pinky toe side of our foot and the big toe side of the bottom of our foot, and then find our way back to center in the middle of those 2 places. Lifting and spreading our toes and putting them all back down again with a little bit of space between them, and lifting through the arch as we root down through all 4 corners of both of our feet. From that strong foundation, we're going to tuck our tailbone as though our pelvis were a bowl that we didn't want to spill forward, and also suck our bottom 3 ribs in slightly as we grow up through the sides of our waist. So pressing down into our feet, growing up through the insides and outsides of our legs, we can now grow up through the sides of our waist without flaring our bottom ribs forward, but instead imprinting our lower back with that pelvic tilt and that little bit of a bringing in of the solar plexus, and then lifting through both sides all the way up. You're going to bring your hands overhead first and then send them on a big arc backwards, rolling your shoulder blades together on your back, and then your shoulders are down. So let's do one more of those. So we're going to bring our arms all the way up, open them back as far as we can, still not popping those bottom ribs forward, and it feels really good. So maybe just one more time. When we get to the bottom here with our shoulder blades on our back, we're going to reach down through our fingers, even as we're pressing up through our feet. Our shoulders are away from our ears, but we can grow our heart taller, the crown of the head taller, sucking our chin slightly in towards our throat to lengthen through the back of the neck. We're going to reach our hands overhead one more time, and we're going to interlace the fingers, flipping the palm towards the sky. We're going to step the right foot behind the left foot so that the back of the left calf is pressing into the front of the right shin. And then we're going to anchor our left hip sideways as we lean over to the right, pressing up through the heel of the left hand especially, but reaching out with both hands, getting along through both sides of the waist, trying not to curve our shoulders down so that they start to square off with the floor, but really reaching up and over to the side. Squeezing our legs together for stability, and then coming back through center, taking a deep breath in, allowing those arms to go back and down again. Just a couple of shoulder circles as we open our feet out to hip width again. One more time, our hands are going to climb to the sky. See if you can interlace in the opposite direction, so the opposite thumb is on top. Before you switch to pressing your hands, pressing the palm of your hands up towards the sky. And now it's your left foot that's going to step behind your right so that your shin and calf collide. And then from that root, you're going to grow up to the hip, your hips going out to the left as your arms press over to the right. I think I did that backwards. Ha! So let's press over to the left this time. Both ways feel good, to be honest. But yeah, so I did that one backwards. It's okay though, we all make mistakes and then we just keep moving forward. So still, I'm rooting my hips now over to the right and I'm leaning to the left. I'm pressing my legs together for stability. I'm trying not to let my shoulder roll forward or back, but be in line with my body as I arc up and over to the side. Taking a deep breath in, coming up. Our arms are going to start to feel warmed up from all that holding them over our head. A couple big circles, shrugs with your shoulders. And from here, arms overhead, bring your prayer through center, and then with really soft knees, let's go ahead and trickle our way down to our first forward fold. I want you to really bend your knees a lot so that you can rest your torso on the shelf that's made by your thighs when you're in this slight chair position. Allowing your head to relax so you can look through your knees instead of at the ground now, and allowing your hands to just pull, maybe palms facing up, fingers pointed towards center. Allowing the thoughts to drain out of your head. Really being present here on your mat. Look down at your feet and make sure that you have at least one hip's distance between them now. And then sit down into chair pose like you're sitting on a low bench. I want you to tuck your tailbone even here slightly, creating a little bit of a concave nature for the belly button, sucking your belly button back towards the spine, building heat and strength in the legs. Weight is in the heels. See if you can lift and spread your toes and then put them back down with some space between them. Arms out to shoulder height to start. Shrug your shoulder blades like we did when we were standing back down on your back, together and then down. Shoulders away from the ears. And then raise your arms up so that your biceps are in line with your ears. Reaching away with your fingertips. Your arms are up, but your shoulders are down. Your crown reaches away, reaching back with your tailbone. And then taking a deep breath in and exhaling, folding forward, maybe with a little more space now. Still having soft knees, but perhaps beginning to straighten, pressing into the inner and outer edges of your feet to lift and spread the sit bones. Again, looking through your knees, not at your beautiful toes. Use the intention of the fingertips on the ground now to help lower you further without anything needing to pull. Just knowing that there's this place that you can root and bend towards, reaching the crown of your head, allowing the weight of your head to help release your spine bit by bit. Let's rock a little side to side. Then we're going to cross the left leg or the right leg in front of the left. Reaching our body. You can use blocks if you need to be up higher, but we're going to turn our body to the right now. Again, pressing that calf and shin together for stability. Getting into the IT band of the left leg. If this is hard on your back, please just be in a forward fold without straining your lumbar spine. Plenty of bend in your knees. And then we're going to come back through center. Our right foot steps out and our left foot crosses in front of it. We're going to keep on around, keeping our hips square to the front. We're trying to get our torso over to the inside of our right foot, even though we're turned to the left. So many rights and lefts. It's really good for your brain, and you'll get faster at identifying with these places. Coming back through center, we're going to have soft knees coming back up into chair position. Take a deep breath in, and then we're going to swing our hands behind us with a ha. Sitting deep into chair, bringing our hands above our head, biceps in line with the ears. And one more time, we're going to again coming in to a forward fold. Fingertips on shins, we're going to come halfway up, reaching out from the crown of our head and our tailbone. And then we're going to place our hands on the ground and we're going to step first our right foot back, squaring off the hips. So I'm going to pull my left hip back and press my right hip forward before sinking my pelvis forward. My front knee should not be exceeding that ankle. Tick-tock the back knee if you need more space. If you need also more room to be in this lunge, you can come up onto blocks at any setting. It's better to be on blocks and really get the feel for how to align your hips than it is to make your stance look like mine. So my feet are hips distance apart so that I can tuck the inside of my left belly on the inside of that thigh. And then I'm reaching through the back heel, pulling my left hip back, and then reaching my spine through my arms, reaching forward through the crown of my head, again back through that heel, back through the left hip, and pressing the entire back of my pelvis forward. It's a lot, I know. So from here you can keep the block if you want. We are going to be doing a revolve twist. So find that your right hand is underneath your shoulder and take your whole, raise your right hip up and pull it back a little bit, but in opposition. See if you can't use your left hand to help draw your belly around the inside of your left thigh. So your hips are anchored and you're twisting away from that from the belly and tucking it on the inside of that thigh, reaching through that back right heel and reaching forward with your spine and your chest. You can look down at the ground in line with your heart or up at your hands, but on the inhale, really get as long as you can in both directions. And then on the exhale, see if you can't squeeze your way back around. That right shoulder is coming up under, left shoulder back, but keeping my right hip up, sinking my left hip forward, twisting against all of that. And then from here, I'm going to look down at the ground. I'm going to put my left hand on my hip, and I'm going to set my right block about a foot in front of the big toe side of my body, and also hips distance apart, or where it will be underneath my shoulder. I'm pulling in that back leg a little, and then I'm going to lift it with a flexed foot. My toes are pointed towards the ground. My hips are closed towards the ground. And then I'm pressing into my right hand to lift up out of that rotator cuff, and I'm reaching my left hand around to the sky in this standing twisted half moon. Reaching back with the heel as though I could press that right foot into a wall behind me with as much force as I'm using to press into the bottom left foot. Turning my left shoulder back, but lifting that right leg, lifting up with the inner and outer thigh, feeling that hamstring engage. Again, getting longer on an inhale and maybe twisting a little more on the exhale. Balance will be easiest if you gaze at the floor, but you can try to gaze at your heart or your hand if you'd like. With as much grace as we can muster, we're going to bend our left leg and let our right toes come down behind us, lowering our right knee with our right toes tucked. We're going to come all the way back to sit on our heel. So we're getting a good stretch in the bottom of our right foot. And then we're going to use the leverage of our left foot pressing into the floor to pull back with our left hip. Anchoring our tailbone towards the ground and growing our spine long. The intention of our hand on the floor or on blocks as needed allows us to have a place of anchor through which we can pull our spine. Tucking our chin slightly so that it lengthens the back of our neck. Reaching our heart towards the top of our foot. Maybe allowing the belly to start to descend down onto the thigh. Being here for a moment. If this is really hard on your back foot, you can give it a break and instead stretch the shin too by flipping so that you have your toes untucked. But here we're all about getting longer instead of lower. I'm not trying to get my knee to touch my nose. I'm trying to lengthen my spine. And while sometimes I will do stretches that arch me forward, here I'm more thinking about increasing the space between the vertebrae, even as I increase the space in my left hamstring. From here, I'm going to rock back forward until I'm in front of, or on top of that front left leg. I'm going to tuck my back toes, and I'm going to place my hands on the ground and come into a plank position. Knees up or down, I'm going to widen my collarbone and chest, keeping my gaze forward, eyes at the elbow towards the front of the room. I'm going to begin to bend down into a chaturanga, all the way until I reach the floor. Untucking the toes and then walking my feet out behind me, finding the intention of reaching backwards with my feet. Pressing my pelvis into the floor, I'm going to come up into a baby cobra, tucking my elbows in close and pulling them back towards my feet. Coming back down, I'm going to open my hands out in line with my shoulders, but maybe off your yoga mat. We're going to come up on the inhale towards the right, coming through center, looking over to our left shoulder, and coming down on the exhale. Up to the right, down to the left. Stopping at the bottom, we're going to look over to the left and come up on an inhale. Down on an exhale, around to the right. Up on an inhale. Down. Finding our way first into tabletop, or you can push up into plank and then into downward facing dog. Our knees can be soft for this first variation. You can pedal out your heels. See if you can ground into all four corners of your hands and feet, and maybe spread your toes. Find as much straightness as you can in the back legs, but it's okay to walk them closer or keep your knees bent. But seeing if you can find grounding, take your right hand and try to float it. Maybe come up to the fingertips first. If you have your balance here, reach your right hand to the across and under your body to the outside of your left thigh. If this is going well, you can slide it down the back of your leg to find somewhere lower on your leg. Pressing into your left hand with a micro bend in that elbow, you're going to twist around, looking underneath your left arm. Coming back through center, we're going to replace the right hand, finding downward facing dog. Lift up onto both toes, reach your heels back, pressing into the heels of your hands, and then reach your heels down to wherever is comfortable. And then come up on your left fingertips. If balance allows, lift your left hand and bring it to the outside of your right thigh. Slide it down the back of your leg until it gets to the outside of your calf. Pressing into the right hand, use that connection to help you twist your left shoulder under, right shoulder back. Hips are lifting. Your heel of your hand, your whole hand is pressing into the floor. Coming back through center, looking forward. You can step, hop, or do a little frog jump. Find yourself at the front of the mat. Lifting halfway, and then coming into a forward fold. Shaking it all out. We definitely have another side to do. So that's nice. I hope I can remember everything. Taking a deep breath in with soft knees, we're going to come into chair pose, arms in front first, shoulders on the back, and then arms up by the ears. And then we're going to press the ground away from us as we stand tall, rolling our shoulders up, back, and down together, reaching through the fingertips, up through the crown of the head, and finding all four corners of both of our feet. On an inhale, we're going to reach tall, and on an exhale, we're going to come down through center, again into a soft forward fold. Now our left leg is going to step back into a high lunge position. And again, it's totally fine to use blocks here if it makes this easier. You can always just stay in a lunge and not do any of the balancing variations, but if you have a comfortable place to maybe fall down sometimes, it's always fun to give things a try. So I'm organizing so that it is difficult for me to rock my right knee over my right ankle. I'm trying to keep a right angle with that foot, tick-tocking my back left foot as needed. I'm pulling my right hip back and pressing my left hip forward to even them out, squeezing my inner thighs, and then allowing the back of my pelvis to sink towards the floor. My left heel pushes away from me as I sink that pelvis forward. I'm pressing into my right heel of my foot and also into my hands to lift up and out of my rotator cuff, even though I'm down low here. And I'm allowing this stretch to really sink in. Putting your knee down if you need to. It's always fine to take those kinds of variations. Then from here, I'd like you to take your left hand and set it on your block underneath your shoulder. You can take your right block and get it out of the way. First, we're going to come into a revolved bent side angle. So you're going to lift your right arm up and stack wrist, shoulder, shoulder, wrist. Anchoring that left hip back, sinking both hips forward and down, but twisting your stomach and your right shoulder around. And then from here, we're going to look down at our left hand and place it about a foot forward of the big toe side of our foot, but about hips distance away, so it'll be under our shoulder when we come forward. Right hand to the hip, we're going to drag that left foot in first, and then lift it up, trying to make a parallel line with our spine and the floor, which is why it's a good idea to have a block so that there's more reach. I'd be teeter-tottering down the other way. I'm trying to lift the inner side of my left leg. I'm trying to close my hips off so my toes are pointed towards the ground, and I'm reaching through that back heel and forward through the crown of my head. Again, this connection with my left hand is allowing me to have a root from which to pull forward with my spine. And then I'm going to roll open to the right side, trying to bring my right shoulder back and stack it over the left shoulder, similar to when we were on the ground in bent side angle. You can stay here, or you can lift that top right arm towards the sky. And again, try to stack wrist, shoulder, shoulder, wrist. It's always a fun one to come into. We're going to look down at the ground, and as soft as we can, we're going to bend that front right knee and bring our left toes down. Let's take a second to bring our left knee to the ground, keeping those toes tucked and bringing our hips back to sit over that left foot. Opening up the bottom of that foot. You can still be on blocks if you'd like for some height or for some support if that foot stretch is difficult for you. But you're going to reach back with your tailbone. Actually pull back maybe a little with your right hip, and then begin to grow your spine through your arms again, even as you reach your tailbone in the opposite direction. It's even tucked, and you're bringing your belly button towards your spine. Really trying to strengthen and lengthen. Lengthening more than lowering, aiming your heart for the top of your foot, your crown of your head towards the front of the room, your chin slightly tucked so that the back of your neck can be long. Use leverage from that left foot to help you pull, or leverage from that front right foot to help you pull up into that right hip. Taking a deep breath in and exhaling. Coming forward again into that lunge position. For now, we'll have the knees down. You're going to climb up onto that thigh, and you're going to tuck your left elbow over that knee. Taking your top right hand, you're going to press in to your bottom left hand to help turn your heart up and towards your thumbs. Again, we're going to think about pulling that left hip back and seeing if we can use this leverage to help squeeze our belly around. Not allowing the hips to turn forward, but instead staying square with the front of the room. Pressing that top hand down. You can stay with your knee down, or you can lift your back knee and reach that heel backwards as you pull your spine forwards. Pressing into those hands again, pulling your right shoulder back. Breathing. Lengthening, coming out a little on the inhale, and then twisting again. Again, we're going to lower that back knee. We're going to keep our left arm crossed over our leg and body as we come back to sit down on that foot. But this time twisting over to the right, even as we're getting that hamstring stretch, bringing it more into the IT band. Taking a deep breath in and just getting as tall as you can. And on an exhale, you can lower a little to intensify the sensation. Coming back forward first, swinging our leg back into plank. We're going to come down through chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left leg is going to step up and come through, and then we're going to lower that bottom right knee. Climbing up onto the left leg. We're going to twist over to the left side and bring our right arm so that we're on the outside of that leg as close as our armpit can get. Then we're going to press our left hand into our right hand, trying to create a vertical pillar with the arms. Now pulling back slightly with the right hip, use the leverage of the right elbow to help you twist your belly around and to the left. Pulling back with your left shoulder, maybe keeping the knee down, or maybe raising that back knee and pressing the heel towards the wall, tailbone tucked and back, the rest of your spine growing forward and twisting, twisting. So keeping our hands for now on the outside of our left leg, we're going to put the fingertips on the ground and allow ourselves to sink back onto the tucked toes of the right foot, bringing this stretch, this hamstring stretch around into the IT band by leveraging our right arm into the outside of our left leg and pulling our torso around into the left. Coming back through center. Grab your staff or your towel or whatever you have, and we're going to put the arms at shoulder height, palms facing down first. We've come up into a low lunge position now with the left foot forward. We're going to pull that right hip forward, left hip back to align our hips. Arms are first coming out to shoulder height, and we're going to roll our shoulder blades together onto our back. Then we're going to lift our arms without shrugging the shoulders and without popping those bottom 3 ribs forward. Pulling apart on the staff, reaching the staff towards the sky with our knuckles, but pulling the shoulders away from the ears. Tucking those bottom 3 ribs in, but growing through the sides of our waist. Lifting our heart. Squeezing our right glutes to get more into the right hip flexor. Pulling back with the left side of our belly. Now, with the staff, begin to twist just your upper body towards the left. Trying to keep your lower body anchored. Pressing your knuckles towards the sky, pulling the staff away, growing through the sides of your waist, twisting. Coming back through center. Now, I'm going to take the staff with my right hand, palm facing forward, or the strap, and then I'm going to allow my hand, thumb down, to fall behind my back. My left hand is going to have palm facing back, and it's going to come up behind me, and it's going to grab anywhere on the staff that it can. If you can link your hands, that's fine. You can do that too, but it also feels different to have this kind of posture, so allow yourself to try it with a little more space. Pulling that left hip back, right hip forward, left elbow down, right elbow up. Continuing to have that pelvis motion going forward and down, but growing our spine up and back, lifting through the right elbow, sinking with your hips and your left elbow. Letting go of the staff first with the left hand, bring it up and over with the right. One more time, we're going to come back. This time we're going to not sit on our foot. We're going to keep our hips aligned over our back knee, up a little higher, and then we're going to again walk our hands over to the left. This might be enough for some. Lengthen your spine again through your arms, but while evening out and twisting from the torso. Press into your front left heel to allow it to radiate up that IT band and around to the back. Stay here. If you want more, you can lift the back knee. That can be kind of intense, so please, if it takes your breath away, revert to an earlier version. Crawling our way back around towards center. I'm going to swing that left leg back to find myself in tabletop position. And then I'm going to bring that right leg forward again. So I'm down here in this low lunge. I have my back toes tucked, but you can also have them untucked. I'm going to climb my torso up, bringing my hips first back and over my back left hip, pulling my right hip back, left hip forward, engaging my left glutes and tucking my tailbone, stretching through that hip flexor and growing up through both sides of my waist. My hands are shoulder distance apart, palm facing down, and at first I'm at shoulder height, shrugging my shoulder blades back and down on my back, still not popping those ribs forward. Lifting my arms now so that my biceps are out of my peripheral vision, but I haven't shrugged my shoulders. Now I'm sinking the back of my pelvis forward. I'm really pulling back with that left hip, or that right hip, sorry, and pressing forward that left hip. And then from here, I'm going to try to anchor my legs, but turn my upper body to the right. See if I can't squeeze my right inner thigh in so that it's my stomach and thoracic spine that's turning, sinking my pelvis forward and down, not popping my ribs, growing tall, twisting. Coming back through center, so this time it's going to be the left hand that is holding the staff with the palm facing forward first. Goes thumb down behind your back. Right hand palm facing back sneaks up your spine and grabs the staff or the strap or fingertips if you're that flexible. Pulling up with the left elbow and down with the right. Pulling back with the right hip, forward with the left. Sinking the whole pelvis towards the floor. Tilting your tailbone, growing through your side waist, sucking your bottom ribs in, keeping those shoulder blades on your back, lifting that left elbow, pulling down with that right elbow, growing through the crown of your head, and maybe arcing your thoracic spine slightly back. Letting go with the right hand first, the left hand allows the staff to come over. So we're gonna do one final peak pose and then get into some relaxing. We're gonna do crow today. I invite you to take your block, but you don't need to, and get up on it. Find yourself something soft like a blanket to go in front of you. It's okay to teeter over because we're not far from the floor. Make sure that the creases of your wrist are pointed straight forward. My arms are a little outside of shoulder distance apart, and I'm pressing into the whole of my hands. My fingers are spread. My eyes and my elbows are reaching forward so that when I bend them, my triceps create a shelf for my knees. There are different ways to do crow. Some people squeeze into the arms from the outside before they lift their feet, and they use the power of that squeeze. Some people balance their knees on their triceps, and both are valid ways to do it. Today, I'm going to balance my knees on my triceps. I'm snuggling them up as close as I can get them to my armpits. And then I'm teetering forward, bending those elbows back, creating that shelf. If you're looking for the comfortable place, you can stop looking because it doesn't exist, but you do get more used to it over time. You can also do the method where you squeeze your arms from the outside. Teetering forward like a little tippy bird, you can lift your left foot, then your right, maybe one at a time, maybe both. If you find yourself in crow, try to straighten your arms. And that's where I fell out. Isn't that fun? We all get ninja stars and pirate points for trying. We're going to find ourselves in a yogic squat. You can sit on your block if you need some support for your hips. Toes are turned out, heels in. My elbows are going to come to the inside of my knees or thighs, and they're going to spread them wide, stretching my inner thigh muscles. My hands are pressed together, creating a vertical line with my arms, reaching my tailbone down, growing my spine up and through my arms, shoulders away from the ears, chin tucked slightly to lengthen the back of my neck, crown towards the sky. I'm going to open up to my fingertips now to open up my inner thighs just a little bit more, feeling the deliciousness of the stretch, allowing myself to be. I have some little bird friends. I think they like yoga. My right hand is going to come down to the floor. It's leveraging into my right knee, and my left arm is going to open up and out at a diagonal, pressing my right arm into that right knee and turning my chest open into the left. Coming back through center first, growing, rooting the tailbone, growing through the spine. Then my left fingertips are going to come down to the ground, leveraging into that leg with my elbow so that I can open my right arm, palm facing forward at a diagonal line, reaching through the fingertips, opening my inner left hip and twisting open to the right. From here, I'm going to come back through center, hands at a prayer position. I'm going to squeeze in with the knees until I find myself down and on my glutes. And from here, I'm going to lift up tall with my chest and then round my spine, chin to chest, coming down vertebrae by vertebrae until I get to the floor. From here, I'm going to flex my right foot and cross it over my left knee in a figure 4 position. I'm going to keep my hands for now palm facing down and near my hips, and I'm going to wiggle my shoulder blades together under my back. Pressing into my left heel, I'm going to lift my hips into a figure 4 bridge and allow my right knee to spill open. My foot is very flexed to protect my knee. And I'm going to lift my hips, sink the right knee. Maybe lift up onto my left toes, lift my hips a little taller, and then sink the heel in the knee. Coming back down, I'm going to cross my right leg over my left, hop my hips over to the right, legs come down to the left, arms at a T position, or you can have cactus arms up like a saguaro cactus. Maybe lifting your head and looking over your right shoulder, reaching out in both directions with your arms, allowing gravity to sink your knees to the left. If you need it to be less intense, you can stack your legs instead of crossing them. Coming back through center first, hopping our hips to the middle, and then switching so that our left leg, foot flexed, is creating a figure 4 on top of our right knee. Our hands are again going to come down by our hips, palms facing down. We're going to roll our shoulder blades up underneath us to give our heart a little bit of a lift, and then press into our right heel to lift our hips up and towards the sky. Breathing, noticing, allowing the left knee to sink, lifting the hips higher. Coming up onto the ball of the right foot, lift the hips even higher, allowing the left knee to sink even lower as you sink that heel back down. Take a deep breath in, exhale out, and then lower. Crossing your left leg over your right, hop your hips over to the left and allow your knees to descend down to the right. Arms can be out to the side long or saguaro cactus arms. Taking a deep breath in, lifting your head maybe, and looking over your left shoulder. Your left shoulder is weighted down towards the ground as though they were a sandbag, allowing your knees to be taken by gravity in the opposite direction, stretching apart and around. Letting go of muscular effort. Coming back through center first. We're going to bring those knees into chest and just give. And then stretching out into Shavasana. Some may say it's the hardest pose, but it's the one where we get to notice the work that we've just done. So take a second to get all your wiggles out. Maybe tuck your shoulder blades up underneath you to give your heart a lift today. Reach and stretch down one leg at a time, getting your hips situated so that they're long and not compressed. Find the most comfortable spot on the back of your head. Take a deep breath in as though you could pull the breeze at the bottom of your feet all the way up and through your body into the crown of your head, inflating like a balloon. And then exhale. Allowing that breath to wash back down and through you as though you could wash everything out through the bottom of your feet. Another inhale like that from toe to tip. And another complete and full exhale. Releasing that spot between your shoulder blades. Allowing your heart to be supported by the earth beneath you. The weight of your internal organs. It's not your job to hold on to anything right now. Relax that space between your forehead, and then notice, because it might need relaxing over and over. Let it go. What colors can you see on the inside of your eyelids? I have purples and greens and blacks, sometimes reds. Feel the weight of the eyes. Let your face relax. Maybe swallow and unclench your jaw. And allow your tongue to rest on the back of your front two teeth. Softening at the nape of your neck. And at those cobra muscles down at the bottom where your neck meets your shoulders. I hope you guys can hear that bird that's singing to me. I like to pretend like they like me out here, but I'm pretty sure they're just saying, get away from my nest, you crazy pirate. But I'll believe what I want. If an errant thought has popped in your head, notice it and let it go. Maybe relax that space between your forehead again. And then however relaxed you feel, take a deep breath in and see if there's anything else you can let go of on the exhale out. Melt into the floor. And then as though trying to climb through a sticky syrup, you're going to crawl your way back into your body. Maybe rolling out your ankles and your wrists. Turning your head from side to side. Reach your arms above you as tall as you can. Reach down through your heels and your toes. Take a deep breath in. Tense everything out. Let it all go. From here, you're going to roll on up in whatever way is best for you until you find yourself in a seated position. Thank you so much for giving me a reason to practice. I hope you liked my outfit. Namaste.